Hello everyone, my name is Chelsea and welcome back to my channel. For today's video, I am doing the 12 Days of Christmas book tag. Created by Lizzie Loves Books. I will leave their channel and original video linked down below. And because I'm currently in the middle of 12 Days of Bookmas, I figured this was the perfect tag to do. We do have 12 questions here, or 12 prompts I should say, and we're just gonna get started. This is going to be based on the 12 Days of Christmas song, so we're gonna start at number 1. A partridge in a pear tree, what is your favorite standalone book? This was hard because as you can see from the shelves behind me, I have a lot of books. I also like to try to pick ones that I feel like are a little bit more recent, that kind of thing. I don't know if I had a favorite standalone book for this year. A lot of my favorites seem to be part of series or the beginning of series, but the one that I did pick is Cemetery Boys by Aiden Thomas. This was actually my favorite book of last year, like completely favorite book of last year. And yes, this is a YA standalone paranormal with some romance, and I just absolutely love this one so much. Like, I still can't shut up about it even though I haven't read it in over a year. Probably need to reread it again soon, but I just absolutely love this one. This one follows Yadriel, who is a trans teen, and he is trying to prove to his family that he deserves to be a brujo because they have brujos and brujas in their family line, and it is him trying to, you know, prove that. And when his cousin goes missing, he decides that he's going to be one of the people to find him. But instead of finding his cousin, he finds the ghost of a boy named Julian from his school, and it goes from there. Again, I absolutely love this one. It is published by Swoon Reads, so there are definite romance like undertones in here, but I want to say it's not like the major plot points. Like, it is in here, it's very, very good, but it is also identity and that kind of stuff, and it was so good. Number 2, Two Turtle Doves, your fictional OTP or favorite ship. So OTP, in case you do not know, means one true pairing. I have not considered books to have OTPs necessarily in a long time. I'm 31 right now, and it is just not something that I necessarily do. Like, the shipping thing, I don't mind if people want to ship characters, and I do the same thing occasionally, but I do feel like a lot of characters are younger than me, and sometimes it just, I don't ship them in the same way that I did when I was younger. And so even with like romance books, I don't really feel like they're OTP level worthy. Like, that is just not the vibe I get. So I did end up picking my like original OTP from when I was in high school and college, and I still absolutely love as a relationship, as a pairing, even though I don't necessarily think I have like, this is my OTP now, but for the longest time, my OTP was Malik, so Magnus and Alec, from the Mortal Instruments series. This is the first book in the Eldest Curses series, so the Red Scrolls of Magic, and this is a trilogy that we have the first 2 books out so far, following Magnus and Alec exclusively in between other books and series in this Shadowhunters world. I don't know exactly what it was, but I feel like they go together, like their personalities and everything complement each other so well. And so yes, even though this is a newer book, but like it has both of them on the cover, I had to pick it. For the longest time, they were my OTP, like the one that I would say if anybody asked, they were the one. And so even though I don't currently like have OTP stuff now, this is probably still the one. Number 3, Three French Hens, your favorite trilogy. So again, this was very, very hard. I was sort of trying to figure out how many books do I actually have that I've read the entire trilogy of, that are obviously a trilogy, not like a duology or a series. I have a lot of series on my shelves, and the one that I kept going back to is the one that I'm going to show you, but I kept going back to it because I really do feel like as a trilogy, all of the books complement each other so well. I did have another trilogy that I was considering, however, I don't necessarily like the last book in the series, so I couldn't pick that one. But this one, I genuinely liked every single book, and they are sort of companion novels, not exactly like one right after the other, but they do interconnect in such a good way that like they are connected, and by the end you do have the full overarching storyline. And it's going to be the Illuminae Files by Amy Kaufman and Jay Kristoff. So this is a YA sci-fi series that I absolutely love. They're huge. Like, this is very, very heavy. But I don't even know if I can wrap my mind around it to actually tell you about them. But like, here, Illuminae, the first book. Probably should start with the first and not really give too much into the second and third. But this follows two teens that are on these ships that are escaping a planet because them and their families lived on this planet as like miners, and a battle like comes in and like people start attacking the planet. So not just them, but like their families and everything start to escape on like 3 different ships. And while they're there, they're trying to figure out why these people attack the planet, and there's potentially a like contamination thing on one of the ships. It gets very, very in-depth. There's so much going on. And one of the things that I absolutely love about this as well is it's told in dossiers, and like things are redacted, and we have like pieces that you would see on the ships and everything like that. Like, it is just the coolest way the story could be told. Like, I just absolutely love this. So even though they are quite thick, they read much quicker. I have also heard that the audiobooks for these are very, very well done, like full cast audiobooks. I have not read them that way yet, although because of the way that the story is in here, I feel like you need to probably read them together, like listen to the audiobook as you read this maybe. But I absolutely love these. There's so many twists and turns. Like, I think it's just because of the way the story is told. That's why we get this. There's lots of like action and stuff like that as well. They are just so, so good. And then, like I said, it is a trilogy, and I literally liked every single book in the trilogy. Like 5 out of 5 stars for every single one. So yeah, I think this is the trilogy I had to pick just because of the fact that like no book was necessarily worse. Like, the ending was still really, really well done, really good. I loved them. Number 4, For Calling Birds. Your favorite fictional beast or creature. So for this one, I'm going with the owlbears from Kings of the Wild. So this is an adult fantasy series that I've only read the first book of so far. Absolutely loved it. Read it earlier this year. It's probably going to be in my top books of the year. I still don't know how I'm going to narrow that down because I have read quite a few phenomenal ones, but I absolutely love this. And it's very interesting in the fact that like we're following a group of like mercenaries, but they're retired now, they're older, and they're trying to get their mercenary band back together to go save one of the band members' daughters. And while they're doing this, we're learning a lot about the fantasy world that they live in. There's lots of different creatures. There's this like forest that you really don't want to go into, all this kind of stuff. And almost the entire time, one of the guys talks about owlbears and how they want to see owlbears and all this kind of thing. And everybody else is like, they don't exist. They're fake. There's no such thing. There are owlbears. And I will put up a little picture here as well because there is a sketch on the author's website for the owlbears. I think it's by an illustrator. I will leave all the information down below as well. I can't remember exactly who it is. I don't know if it's the same guy that did the cover or not, but owlbears, absolutely adorable. And I just love the idea of them, especially in this fantasy world. So good. And this book is also very, very good. Number 5, 5 golden rings. Show 5 golden books. This was a little bit hard. I don't think I necessarily have a ton of like golden books. So I think what I'm gonna do is actually go from the least golden, even though I did pick them for golden books, to the most golden. So it looks amazing when we get to the end. So the first one I have here is Censor by Junji Ito. So the actual title of Censor is gold, as same as Junji Ito's name there. It is also gold here. And this is a horror manga about like gold threads that come from like a volcanic eruption, so the story has stuff to do with gold as well. Then I have The Golden Tower by Holly Black and Cassandra Clare. This is the 5th and final book in the Magisterium series. Again, the text is actually in gold, and I do feel like the background of the book, even though it's not like gold, it's close enough that it works. And yeah, it's again about gold. In the Magisterium, each year you advance has a different like metal to it, and the 5th year is gold. The next one I have here is Witches Steeped in Gold by Shannon Smart. I have not read this one yet, so I actually don't know like a ton about this book, except for I do believe it has like, it's a Jamaican inspired fantasy, that kind of thing. But again, we do have gold on the words and some little gold details as well on the cover, so I definitely thought this fit. Then I also have Star Trek The Classic Episodes. This is the Barnes & Noble Classic Edition, so it's like the leather-bound classics, and again, very, very gold. Here's the spine, and on the back we have a gold Enterprise as well. And then for the final one, this is the first one I thought of immediately when I saw this prompt. I have The Merciless 2 by Danielle Vega. The entire book is gold. It is a very, very shiny book, as you can see here. The entire thing is gold. So yeah, this is the second book in a YA horror series. I think there's 4 books total about like exorcism sort of stuff. So the first book has a new girl in school who like starts to become friends with the popular girls, and the popular girls want to exorcise a demon from their previous friend because she is no longer hanging out with them. And that's where it goes from there. And so this is the second book, very, very gold. Number 6, 6 Geese a-Laying. So the prompt is Rotten Egg, what is your least favorite book? So for this one, the one that I always say that is my least favorite, or the one that I hate because I actively hated it, I read this book once I got to a certain point, is Free Chocolate by Amber Royer. This is an adult sci-fi that I just feel had a lot of potential, and it did not live up to it. The summary of the book on the back, like when you read through the summary, it talks about how our main character wants to get chocolate from Earth because it's like, that's the major import from Earth. Nobody else is allowed to make chocolate, that kind of stuff, and give it to the galaxy because of, you know, like corporations and capitalism and all this kind of stuff, and she gets caught. That summary is like 3/4 of the book. Like that is all we're doing. It is so boring at the beginning, and then we are supposed to have aliens, like there's aliens on the cover, and the guy that actually looked like an alien on the cover, he only shows up in 3 scenes total in the entire book. And then also, this is supposed to be a bilingual main character. It's supposed to be sort of like telenovela type of style. I can't remember if it's just, if she's actually Spanish or where the main character is from, but she speaks Spanish. She does speak Spanish. However, I do not think our author is fluent enough in Spanish to do this properly because of the fact that like whenever she interjects these Spanish words into English, they do not fit where a normal speaker who is bilingual would fit them in. They feel very weird. Like she'll say the and an and a, those little tiny words, she'll use those in Spanish, and it's not quite right. It was very, very hard to read. She also had a lot of galactaspeak, I think is one of the words actually in there, where she would take multiple different words and like Frankenstein them together to make us think that there was an extra weird, not even an alien language, but a language that English speakers would use while out in space. Not only that, but her aliens also knew Spanish. Like everybody knew Spanish and English, and it was too much. But the biggest part was that it was so boring and convoluted. Like the part that I was waiting to get past so that we could actually get to the story, the summary, like getting into the actual action, it took more than 3/4 of the book to get there. And so yeah, even though the cover was gorgeous, like that was the reason I picked it up. One of the worst books I've ever read. I definitely read it. There was a line in it that I've talked about in other videos previously, like whenever somebody asks, what is your least favorite book, what is the book you hate, this is what comes up, and there was something about décolletage and beheading, and like, I don't know the exact line right now, but it was the worst line I had ever read. It went on way too long. Like it was a convoluted sentence, and it was trying way too hard. Number 7, 7 Swans of Swimming. Show a book with water on the cover. So the one I picked for this is Stillhouse Lake by Rachel Kane. This is actually a book that I read this year. Really enjoyed it, and definitely need to read more in the series since I have the entire series. But obviously, they're on a lake. You can see the like canoe on the lake. There's definitely water on the cover. This is an adult sort of like mystery thriller type of book that did start off a little bit slow, but I still really, really enjoyed the story of it. This has a mother who is a single mother, and she is like the most badass at protecting her kids. Like, I just absolutely loved her as a character. And yeah, this follows her after she finds out that her husband is a serial killer, and then they do like a time jump where she's now living with her kids as a single mother. And I can't remember exactly how much time has passed since like the very like first chapter of the book to the next chapter where they're doing this, but there start to be more murders around her in this like lake town where they live, that are very similar to what her husband used to do. Number 8, 8 Maids a-Milkin'. What fictional food do you wish you could taste? So this is another one that I kept going back to, because no matter when I was trying to figure out, do I have anything better that I would like to taste, I could not think of anything. So I picked The Hunger Games by Suzanne Collins. I do know that there is like an unofficial Hunger Games cookbook. I have not actually looked at the recipes or anything, but I think the fact that these are foods that you should be relatively able to make in real life, I don't know. It shouldn't be something where I'm like, oh, I need to taste that because it's so out of this world. Like, it's literally like lamb and potatoes. Like, I don't know. But the way that they describe it in here, probably because Katniss is from District 12, where they don't get a lot of this good food, and she's going to the capital, and they have like tons of like spreads and feasts and all this kind of stuff. Like, it just, everything sounds delicious. It just sounds amazing. And like, I guess the idea that like, yes, technically you could make all of this here on Earth, like it's something that you should be able to make. I don't know, it's easy enough that we could try it realistically, but everything just sounds so good that this is the only book I could think of when I saw that prompt. Number 9, 9 Ladies Dancing. What is your favorite dance between two characters? So this one I think was a little bit hard because I don't really read a lot of books that I remember people having dances in, like at all. So this one definitely took me a while to figure out, but I did come up with something. Here I have A Gathering of Shadows, the second book in the Shades of Magic series by V.E. Schwab, and there is a scene in here where Lila and Kel dance that I do remember. I think it was like a masquerade type of thing. But also, I thought of the whole, like, the other meaning of dance, like when people say that, oh, they had a dance, like a sword fight almost. They do also sort of fight in here as well, because this is about like a magical competition. And so yeah, I went with this one because I felt like it sort of fit both ways that I could interpret this question. 10 Lords a-Leaping. Your favorite book-to-movie adaptation. Lord of the Rings. I actually watched the first movie back when it was like coming out. I think not in theaters, but like on DVD, that kind of thing. But I watched the first movie and then I had to read all of the books. And even though I do love the books, I actually have a couple different versions on my shelves. I think I have like 3. I do love the books. The movies are so good. They were able to definitely take out some of the parts that were not as needed, even though I do watch the extended editions as well. So I watch all 3 extended edition movies. They're like 12 hours long. It's still very long, but I think the longness also helps because there's so much, like this is just the first book, so much in these books. But some of the scenes even, I feel like some of the fight scenes and stuff, they translate better on film than they did in the book. I don't know, the books are still, I love the books, absolutely love the books, but the movies are better. Number 11 Piper's Piping. Your favorite book-to-movie adaptation soundtrack. Lord of the Rings. I love the soundtrack, literally love the soundtrack. I think it definitely helps the scenes, makes the movie. I love that most of it is, you know, no singing, like it's just instrumental. It is so good. And then finally, number 12 Drummers Drumming. So it's the end of the song. What is your favorite book ending? Now, I don't necessarily know if I should say this is my favorite book ending. However, it is one of my most recent favorite books, and the ending is definitely one of those ones where I'm like, it made me want to read it again. I have not reread it yet, but like it made me want to read it again because it is so like action-packed. There's so much going on, high stakes, all this kind of stuff. And it ends on a cliffhanger because we are gonna get another book, but at the same time, I'm just like, it was a good ending. It was, but at the same time, I'm just like, why? And that is gonna be Iron Widow by Shiran J. Zhao. I've talked about this multiple times in multiple videos recently, it feels like, because this is one of the most recent books I have finished. I have not read any more novels since I have finished this one, I've only been reading like comics, graphic novels, and manga. But yes, I love this book so much, and the last like 100 pages were just like go, go, go. So much stuff was happening, and I need to reread this. But also I think this would be a great book to movie or book to TV show adaptation, so like I would love to see that as well. This, so good. And that is everything for this tag. Since we are getting close to Christmas now, I don't necessarily know if I want to tag people myself for this. However, if you're watching this and you want to do it, feel free to be tagged. Do this video, I would love to see it. But that is going to be it for me today. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up to let me know. Subscribe to this channel if you would like to see more videos. I'm currently doing my 12 days of Bookmas, so I will have a new video up tomorrow, and I will see you then. Bye! Bye!